Before we get any further, this video contains spoilers for The Bad Batch Season 2 Episode 3 that just aired on January 11th, 2023. If you haven't seen it yet, we highly recommend you head on over to Disney Plus and watch it before continuing with the video. If you're all caught up or just don't care, let's dive right in. With Episode 3 airing earlier today, the second season of The Bad Batch seems to be continuing the theme of clone behavior and morality after Order 66. Fans of Star Wars The Clone Wars probably have the last two episodes of Season 7 seared into their memory because of how intensely they portrayed the trauma and betrayal of the clones. These clones, whom fans and characters alike had grown up admiring, suddenly became heartless, remorseless enemies. Order 66 changed the clones from loyal, compassionate soldiers of the Republic to droid-like, mind-controlled zombies that obeyed the Empire's every command. Or so we thought. In the latest episode of The Bad Batch, it becomes clear that clones weren't suddenly completely rewired after Order 66, and they didn't lose what made them them. In today's video, we'll be exploring how Order 66 seemed to have affected the clones and speculating a little regarding how inhibited chips may have worked. If, coming into this episode, you thought the inhibited chips permanently altered the clones' brains once activated, we wouldn't blame you. Looking at everything we had up until now, the evidence was pointing in that direction. The finale of the Clone Wars was brutal in its depiction of hundreds of loyal clone troopers all turning on the Jedi. Even worse were the scenes on board the Venator-class tribunal between Ahsoka, Rex, and the rest of the 332nd Division. We got to see clones that had fought alongside Ahsoka for years and still recognized her as their commander even after she left the Jedi, turning on her without a shred of remorse. Meanwhile, on so many other worlds, we witnessed Jedi being murdered by their clones. Even Season 1 of The Bad Batch reinforces this idea, especially in the early episodes directly following Order 66. The clone troopers stationed on Kamino seemed incredibly different to what we'd come to know and love in the Clone Wars. They were robotic, emotionless, and blindly obedient, so much so that even the ragtag team of Clone Force 99 that had always felt out of place could tell the difference in the atmosphere. Their decision to leave Kamino was definitely at least partially influenced by what they saw in their clone brothers' behavior, and we can't blame them. The entire point of the first season was that Clone Force 99 was convinced Crosshair's inhibited chip was solely responsible for his behavior and ideology, only to find out he had removed his chip and was just being himself. Shows set later in the timeline, like Rebels, also went out of their way to show clones that had escaped the Empire just because they had had their chips removed. Everything suggested the inhibited chips were essentially reprogramming tools. Episode 3, however, disproves everything. In last week's video, we touched on how the clones we saw in episodes 1 and 2 still maintained their sense of brotherhood with one another. Captain Wilco and the others still had that team spirit that had made the clone army so incredible. Although it was a relief to see them behaving more like their Clone Wars era selves, they still felt distant and robotic. The emphasis was on their dutiful adherence to protocol. In today's episode, we see this wasn't the full picture, and the creative producers implemented an incredibly powerful tool to help showcase the clones' true feelings: narrative perspective. In the first two episodes, we saw the clones' actions through the eyes of Clone Force 99, who had defected from the Empire. The Bad Batch have shown that they felt alienated from their clone brothers, and so, of course, they only noticed the immediately obvious behavior displayed by Wilco and his men. In episode 3, however, the narrative perspective shifts to someone fans know very, very well: Commander Cody. Truthfully, Commander Cody was an excellent choice to showcase clone morality. In episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, he's the clone we see Palpatine reach out to execute Order 66. The OG Jedi killer himself takes front and center in this episode alongside Crosshair, and it's an excellent tool to show the real contrast between them. At the very start of the episode, Commander Cody meets Crosshair for the first time in a while. He is to be the team lead on a mission to Desix. During their reunion, Cody brings up the fact that the other members of Clone Force 99 betrayed the Empire, to which Crosshair responds that Regs have turned traitor too. But then we have the following monumentally heavy exchange.
Rumors are more and more clones have been questioning the Order.
Then they are traitors. like the Jedi.
What might seem like innocent comments is actually the beginning of the two characters' true juxtaposition and does an incredible job of introducing Commander Cody's real feelings on Order 66. He probes Crosshair, and when Crosshair proves he's truly loyal to the Empire and holds no remorse for Order 66, Cody looks sad, guilty. Throughout the episode, Cody continues to behave like any clone had during the Clone Wars. He leads his men decisively, but carefully. He ensures the safety of the civilians they come across and reassures them that they're there for their own good. Even when confronted by the rightful governor of Desix, who's holding the Imperial would-be Governor Groton at Blaster Point, Cody chooses to negotiate her surrender rather than spark another war. Listen, we both lived through one war, let's not start another. Those are the words he uses to convince the governor to surrender, spoken with the true weight of regret behind them. And yet, despite her surrender, Groton orders her execution. When Cody hesitates, Crosshair finishes the job. The Empire wins Desix, but to Commander Cody, it isn't a real victory. When he and Crosshair are preparing to leave the planet, they see civilians being rounded up, most likely forcibly relocated. Troop transports bring in units of stormtroopers that, if we had to guess, weren't clones, but fresh recruits as part of Rampart's Project Warmantle. In those few seconds, we and Cody both see the true influence of the Empire. It's not there to help the people, but to occupy and suppress the galaxy. And the clones aren't part of that plan. When they return back to base, Cody all but tells us what he really thinks.
Tell me something, Crosshair. This new empire, are we making the galaxy better?
We're soldiers. We do what needs to be done.
You know what makes us different from battle droids? We make our own decisions, our own choices. And we have to live with them too.
Those are the words of a person weighed down by guilt. Everything in Cody's behavior during the entire episode shows us that he regrets obeying Order 66. He doesn't really believe the Jedi were traitors, and he doesn't believe in what the Empire is doing, which makes following Imperial command feel like a betrayal. This is in direct contrast to Crosshair, who fully understands what the Empire did, but doesn't seem to care in the slightest if it was morally right. All he cares about are what orders he receives and the legitimacy of their source. And so, much like many other clones, Cody defects from the Empire, taking a stand for what he believes is right. Something many believed was impossible for the clones after Order 66. What we can take away from this latest episode is that clones retained more of their free will than we had previously suspected. During the events of Order 66, when the inhibitor chips activated, most clones were unable to resist the command. Captain Rex managed to struggle against it long enough for Ahsoka Tano to remove his chip, but to everyone else, it was an irresistible command they couldn't question. Directly after the events of Order 66, it seems like this command was still firmly in place. However, at an unidentified point in time, clones began defecting, which could have two new explanations. One potential explanation is that the chips weren't designed to last forever. The clone army was designed specifically to execute Order 66, and it's possible that the Kaminoans didn't care about the chip's longevity after the order was carried out. This scenario is backed up by Project Warmantle's existence. Since the Empire wasn't planning on continuing the use of clones for a long time after the end of the Clone Wars, their continued control wasn't necessary. Thus, the organic chips may have simply died, allowing the clones to begin thinking and feeling for themselves, and subsequently struggling with what they had been made to do. A second possibility is that the inhibitor chips were specifically designed to inhibit the clones' ability to disobey orders. At the time Order 66 was given, the chips inhibited the clones' ability to resist, but once the order had been carried out, there was nothing to stop them from slowly processing what had happened and coming to their own conclusions. This could have been why the clones didn't immediately begin defecting, but did so once some time had passed and they had seen the true nature of the new empire. Personally, we think option 1 is more likely. veterans of our channel have heard our thoughts on the matter before, but with more information being revealed, it's more than likely we'll all have to reevaluate how we thought the inhibitor chips worked. What are your predictions or explanations for the clone's ability to defect the way Cody did? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and let us know how much you enjoyed this most recent episode of The Bad Batch. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.